At Talus, we know cybersecurity can be tough and you can't protect everything, but with Talus, you can secure what matters most. With Talus industry-leading platforms, you can protect critical applications, data, and identities anywhere and at scale with the highest ROI. That's why the most trusted brands and largest banks, retailers, and healthcare companies in the world rely on Talus to protect what matters most. Applications, data, and identities. That's Talus, T-H-A-L-E-S. Learn more at talusgroup.com/cyber.
Hey, what is going on, people? Ryan Leary here from Work Defined. You're listening to Inside the C-Suite, where we talk with executives and founders to learn the story behind their success and failures. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt like you're the only person up at 3 a.m. trying to figure out what your next step is, or if success is like right around the corner, but you're not sure if you should hang it up or keep going? It's all good, because today we speak with Tony Jamous, who is the CEO and founder of Oyster HR. Tony is a serial founder. He's had a number of exits, and just like many of you have or are experiencing right now, he's seen the highs, he's been hit with the lows. This is what we talk with Tony about today on this episode. So if you feel like you want to pull your hair out, you're not sure where to go next, do you need funding? Is your culture banged up? Where's the work-life balance? Keep listening, because this is the episode you'll want to save.
You're listening to the Inside the C-Suite, brought to you by Work Defined. It's William Tincup, Ryan Leary. We're joined by Tony. Tony, you're going to have to pronounce your last name, because I don't want to butcher it. I don't want to be that guy. It.
Yep.
I don't want to be that guy. We've been on a podcast before, so you'd think I would actually know this. Okay, it is what it is. Tony's the CEO of Oyster HR, simplified as Oyster. He's actually joining us today from Lebanon. And so this is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to learn. So for the audience, as you're watching this and listening to this, we're going to learn about Tony's journey, how he became CEO, what he's learned by being CEO, etc. So why don't we start with Oyster? Tony, first of all, pronounce your last name, because I just want to say famous, and that's not right. So say your last name. Give us a little bit about Oyster.
Thank you guys for having me again. Really always great to be on the show here. And look, my last name is Jamous. It's Arabic, actually. I'm also French, and but you know, in the English world, people say Jamous, which is fine with me, and actually it's even more memorable. So I'll accept.
You've been called worse, is what you're saying. So how did you? Well, let's talk about the genesis of Oyster. How'd you come up with this idea? How'd you start it?
Yeah, so it all started years ago. It's imprinted in my heart to do Oyster. It's part of my purpose. And how I got to realize this is I had to first start my first company 12 years ago. Was an API business and company called Nexmo. That company was very successful, grew to 100 million of revenue in the 5 years. When I took it public in mid-2016 by doing a reverse merger with a company called Vonage on the New York Stock Exchange, and got acquired by Ericsson for $6.5 billion. So that was good. And in that company, we hired people in 40 countries, and I was able to not only realize how difficult it was, but also how powerful it can be to hire people from all over the world and change people's lives, specifically in emerging economies. So I left that business. I took a year and a half off, a sabbatical year, where my goal was to find out what I'm going to do next. But also I was committed to my well-being. I was committed to making sure that whatever I do next, I don't want to burn out anymore. My previous business was like hyper-growth business, was very hectic. And I also wanted to build something purposeful and meaningful that connects with how I want to see the world changing. Towards mid 2019, I was ready to start a new business in the same industry of my previous company, in the programmable communication API space. I had investors lined up for it. And I also wanted this company to be hiring from everywhere because I believed in this distribution of talent and distribution of opportunity. And I was researching, how can I do this at scale? And I couldn't find a solution to that problem. And towards November 2019, I was doing this intense mental health retreat with my coach for like 3 days. We've been preparing for this for months. And part of the intentions I had was to clarify my purpose, why I'm here in this world. And at the end of the retreat, it was very crystal clear for me. I had to drop my other idea with the investor lined up and start Oyster. And my coach told me, hey, don't take any important decision in the next 10 years, in the next 10 days. The next day, I went and incorporated Oyster and never looked back.
6 hours later.
Yeah.
6 hours later, I was on the service online in the US incorporating my Delaware company.
Yeah.
It was called the Anywhere Corp, actually, before.
Right.
Oyster.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it was a cool name. Yeah, investors loved it. And this is kind of how Oyster started. It was a purpose-driven. It was not only a mind-driven business. It was also driven by the heart and my purpose. Because coming myself from an emerging economy, a failed state, Lebanon is a failed state. I had to move to France when I was a teenager to study computer science and essentially search for better opportunities. I felt that. When I went to France, actually, I realized that the world, the problem is not me. The problem, it's not
Right.
like because I come from that country, there's a problem in me.
Right.
The problem is the world is unequal. That's the problem. And yeah, I felt that I wanted to build Oyster.
It's funny. Someone's talked to me before about not poverty, but hunger. And so we don't have a hunger problem. We have a logistics problem. Like there's parts of the world where they have plenty, there's surplus. There's parts of the world where there's scarcity.
Yeah.
And so if we can fix the logistics of getting the surplus to the scarcity, we don't have a hunger problem. We produce enough food for the world. The world produces enough food for the world. It's just not in the right spots. And I don't know if that's true. Okay, I haven't done the math. However, it feels right.
Feels right. Beautiful.
Tony, I'm curious. So outside of Oyster, right? I'm sure we'll come back and learn more about the story. But you've got a storied background, right? Like anyone can go research, you look you up, and they'll see your background is fantastic. But I'm really curious, what motivates somebody like you? What motivates you to keep going after success after success after success?
Yeah. So great question, Ryan. And I can tell you a lot of things on the surface that are what people would say, like when I'm motivated by delivering an impact, being purposeful, connecting with my team, being there for my team, being this service-driven leader, and all these things are true. These things are like on a day-to-day basis what gives me my energy, right? I was going through a rough time a couple of years ago, and I was like doing this cold water dipping. It becomes very fashionable these days. I had a friend coming from Denmark, and he said, "You have to try this thing. We do it in Denmark all the time." So and when you go into the water, you actually freeze your thoughts, and you can get access to sort of deeper answers, right? And so it's some sort of meditation. Think about it, like a form of meditation. Mm-hmm. And I was there having this rough time and saying, okay, well, why I'm doing this? And it popped up in my mind. It's about Christina, this lady in the Philippines that we employed, that she used to commute 4 hours a day. She's a mother of 2. She barely could see her children during the week, and now she has freedom and flexibility to work from home. She can be there for them. And this is what motivates me. So but there's a deeper level. Okay, there's a deeper motivational level, and it is about my self-expression. I feel that there's things that I want to do and I want to say in this world that connects with who I am in this world, and I want to be authentic to myself. I want to be true to myself, and this work give me this opportunity, a platform to get my voice out there. Whether there are people who listens or not, it does not matter. It matters that I can verbalize what is inside of me, and that's what motivates me at the very, very deep level.
So in the pre-show, I was telling you that I follow you on Instagram. So I see a lot of your stories and reels and pictures and stuff like that. And it looks like, outside looking in, it looks like you're living your best life. But it also looks like there's a whole lot. It's a lot of oyster. You're meeting people, you're meeting customers, you're talking about what's going on and evangelizing. But it's like I don't think it's a bit like and I've done a lot of bits. I don't think it's a bit. I think it's actually, this is just you. It's just being recorded.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is like I get some sort of well-being kick from being authentic.
Yeah.
But for living my true self, for saying my true voice, for being aligned with my core values. That just keep me going, keep me catching the high wave in this world.
I'm curious, and so I'm going to go to self-care route for a moment since we've started with well-being. I think a lot of people look from the outside in at successful CEOs and co-founders and say they're working 24 hours a day and they're adding 3 more hours on top of that. How do they do this, right?
AI gave him 5 more hours.
It just, and it's it's interesting because we've been at it for a long time, and we know a lot of other co-founders have been at it. How do you prioritize yourself? One, how do you define self-care? But then how do you prioritize that along
That's
with
a great
actually
question.
being a CEO of how many employees do you have now? 500 plus?
500 plus, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how do you manage that and still your remote, your distributed employees and manage your self-care?
So how I define well-being, and it starts with yourself. It starts by being committed to care for your own well-being, and in return, you give a gift to others around you as a CEO. Because if they see you and feel that you care about how you feel, work at work, then they can mimic that. So, example, if I receive a message, like I got a message over the weekend from Fabrice, my VP marketing. He's new. He just came to the company, and I told him, "Look, this is a weekend message. I'm not going to answer you. I'm going to answer you on Monday." Right? So
it takes a little getting used to.
Because I don't want my weekend, I don't want to open my laptop during the weekend. I don't want to chat about business. I want to really create this clear delineation between when I work and what I don't work. And when I don't work, I don't want to think about work, because the problem is the mind. The human mind is like especially when you're in this high intense work, like your brain is going at a very high speed and you need to break. You need to be able to break, to be able to disconnect. And if you don't have this opportunity to disconnect, then you're going to be caught into it, and it becomes some sort of addiction. And other people feel that. And if you're the manager or the CEO or the leader of the company, they're going to also look at you and they're going to burn out too. So if you really want to make no harm, so let's start there. You want to take care of yourself.
Right.
You want to care about how you feel. Now, technically, how does it work, right? So, well, first, it's always work in progress. It's like I reach a certain balance, I get imbalance, and then I try to come back to it.
Right.
Secondly, is about being surrounded by the people that can support you in this. So I have my assistant. She has clear guidelines about my working hours and when I can work and when I cannot work. I don't work in the morning, right? My first call that started at 2 p.m. That's why today I was able to go ski in the mountains in the morning and come back. And now it's nearly 10 p.m. and I work till 11 p.m. Right. And I have frequent breaks in between. I also manage my energy level, right? So in between Zoom calls or in team calls, I do push-ups. Sometimes I play guitar 5 minutes. I even dance sometimes, just to put music and get this energy flowing outside of my body. Yes, right?
I'm gonna hold William. He's laughing because he knows where I'm going with this. In between our calls, you're doing push-ups. I might just say dance. Let me see. Shake it.
Yeah. Let's I'm gonna have to start with the basics first.
Yeah.
But yeah, first of all, that's fantastic, and the energy you get, the burst of energy that you get,
yeah.
has got to be. I mean, again, it creates the endorphins. It gets you moving. It gets the blood flowing. So I love it. I love it. Continue. I'm sorry.
Me continue?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's true. It's about me today. Yeah, and also like I think well-being and defining well-being as well. Well-being is actually also a question of connection with yourself, inner connection, because we tell ourselves a story, we create our own reality, right? So we have the opportunity to also tell ourselves a positive story about who we are and how and why we're here. And I work a lot on these stories. So things like what's self-connection? Self-connection is a number of things, but it could be summarized for me was like self-love, self-compassion, self-forgiveness. Like when I have these thoughts, hey, I'm not a good CEO. I have to forgive myself about these thoughts, right? And because these are not mine. These are coming from my programming, whatever, being in the society, and they're in the way for me to be successful, to be happy, to be fulfilled in what I'm doing. So it's about self-care. It's about self-desirability. Do I desire myself? Am I an attractive CEO to myself? I don't care about anybody else.
Right.
And having this, obviously, I'm not there yet. It's always a journey, work, and there's no end point. But it is about this path of self-connection and inner peace, because the work we do in the C-suite is dealing with change, dealing with challenges, right? All the time. So our work is extremely diverse and extremely challenging. So they're going to be highs and they're going to be lows. And you want to make sure when there's a low, you're emotionally detached from this. And you know that you've done everything you can. Because the more you go on the top, the more problem surfaces, right? So if you only see the problem, then you're going to start developing a negative story, and that infects other people. So you want to keep the story positive all the time,
right? Positive and real, because if they don't believe you, if you don't believe yourself and others don't believe you, then you lose. Again, you're not as authentic. Did you have to go through the experience that you had previous? Like, did you have to go through that to get to the place that you're at? Or do you think people can start there? Like, can someone, if intentionally, with great intention, I say, can they start where you're at right now? Or do they need to go through, I say pain.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Do they need to go through burnout?
Well, I needed to go through that.
Right.
It doesn't have to be the case for everybody. That was my journey. So everybody has a different path. And no, I believe that people, I know people are there, and even beyond that, they didn't have that experience. They didn't have that path. So, but that was absolutely the steps that I needed to take to get here.
What are your thoughts on some of these, and I'll call them influencers that are out there, coaches that are out there, and say grind, right? Like, and I'm going to go back to this. You're working 24 hours a day, you're starting an organization, you're doing your thing. But I know you said you needed to go through that on your journey. You needed to hit burnout. What is that level of good? What's that balance a new entrepreneur needs to consider, assuming they have a family, maybe some kids, whatever that is? How they manage that?
Hey, this is William Tincup, and you should know about the You Should Know podcast. It's a topical, fun podcast with Ryan, myself, and a guest, or guests, plural sometimes, and we tackle the most timely topics of the day. Give it a look, give it a listen, and subscribe. Thanks.
At Starbucks, we've more than doubled parental leave for full and part-time baristas, giving them up to 18 weeks of paid time off, so they can be there for early bedtimes, late nights, first laughs, and spend more time with the best company they know. At Starbucks, benefits like parental leave are just the start. Learn more about Starbucks industry-leading benefits at starbucks.com/partners.
Look, I mean, on this one, everyone is different, right? So, like for me, I created this company because I want to be there for my loved ones, right? I'm here in Lebanon today because I want to be with my father, right? And then I'm going to go back to Cyprus where I reside to be with my children. After that. So, and I can keep working. I don't want, like, essentially is I found a way where my work doesn't tax me as much as before, right? And so, but it could be, it could be like sometimes some people, like even happens to me today. Sometimes I get absorbed in my work. I love to work. Sometimes I'm working on something that's very exciting for me, that is about learning new things or creating something. I love creating things. I love creating new strategy. When I'm doing a strategy document, I disappear for 3 days and I just do that. And so I understand some people are drawn to this, and it might be also they're getting fulfilled by doing that work, and that's totally okay. Because if your work gives you energy, then it's all about energy management to do what you want to do in your life. You don't want to feel that your work is a tax, energetic tax on you.
Right. So the question I have is getting back to your move to France. At that point, I would assume in your life you could have moved to a lot of different places. How in the world did you, pick a place on the globe, close your eyes, and put your finger down? How did you pick France out of all the places?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't have a choice. That was the only choice I had, right? So.
You have Canada. Come on, you could have come to Canada, right?
It was by accident, William. It was by accident. Like I wasn't even thinking of leaving, and then there was this. I was in my high school, and Lebanon has a relationship with France.
Of course.
I was in a French school, and there was this lycée in France called Sainte Mary that has a relationship with our school, and they take one person a year. And they came and they did a pitch, and they 3 people applied. I applied and I was selected. And my mother said to me, well, my mother is like she's very engaged in the church. She goes to church every day. And she's like, Saint Mary, you have to go.
It's a sign, son. You have to go. We'll see you in 4 years.
I'm sure she regret that decision today because she loved to be with her child, and but that was a turning point in my life for sure, because if I stayed back home in a failed state, post-war Lebanon, there was no opportunity, nothing.
Right. What was the biggest? When you went to France? What did you miss the most about home, outside of your family and things like that? But what did you miss the most?
It was a very difficult time, actually, because I was there in a country I know nobody. I had only a cousin that was there. I met once every 3 months, and I had no money. Right? I had student loans.
You're a college student. You're not supposed to have money.
Yeah.
Where were you? I'm sorry, in France, because we just keep saying France as it's one place, but like I know there's a strong community in Marseille. Oh, you were in Paris?
I was in Paris, yeah.
Ah, okay. Well, from there, what was your first job after college?
Look, when I actually did my engineering school in France, computer science, and I was hired as an intern by Total, the French oil and gas company. But I was put in a basement with a lot of SAP consultants to write code, and we would meet once a week, and it was a very boring meeting. And I was like, this is not for me. Like I just can't do this. So when I finished a 6 months internship, when I left, they wanted to hire me as a full-time employee, but I said, we can't hire you because there's a hiring freeze was 2003. But if you find a service provider, we can hire the contractor. So I went with this letter of intent. I went shopping in Paris for all these consultancy companies. You're going to hire me, and I was bidding them over, and actually. I was also working on another opportunity, which is a startup that is building mobile technology, software for mobile technology. Was pre-smartphone, was PDAs, personal digital assistant.
Oh wow!
For B2B, and I was like obsessed with mobile technology at that time.
Yep.
I was like really passionate about the stuff. But it wasn't an engineering job. It was actually a business development job. I wanted to sell these complex IT solutions on PDAs for Fortune 500 companies. So I took that job knowing that I had no experience with business development. It was half of the salary of what I was able to negotiate was this bidding process with Total.
You didn't tell your parents that, though, did you? You didn't tell me you kept that secret for a while.
No, I kept that. But now maybe they'll know. Now it's public, so
now they know.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah.
But you could. That's one of those things you can't tell your parents at the time. You just can't tell them the truth. That's just one of those things because they'll say, "Hey, you've earned it. Go take the higher salary." They're not going to listen to any of the other stuff. So I understand that.
I followed my passion. That's looking back at this. I was like really, I was passionate of mobile technology when we were in Lebanon growing up. We didn't have cellular network, obviously. The fixed line network was broken every day. So we were using these radio devices, military radio devices, CBs.
Right.
And with my neighbor, we were obsessed with this technology. Like we had this large antennas and big power, and I was like 12, right? So, and we were like chatting with like adults in other regions in Lebanon.
Yeah.
It was like social network before social network. And since then I was like obsessed with like mobile technology, radio frequencies, and so I was really following my passion at that time.
That's good. What are you thinking about now? What's on Tony's mind? What's keeping you up at night?
Oh.
Well, it is it's many things.
Let's start alphabetically.
Start with the A's.
I think first it's like I don't think like it's again, challenges. There's always going to be challenges. So it's really about changing how I relate to challenges. So, like for instance, one of the commitment I have this year to myself is I want to be a better manager. Right? There's a difference between a leader and a manager,
right.
And I need to develop my managerial skills because Oyster is getting bigger, is getting more complicated as an organization, and I want to be there for my team as a great manager.
Could you tell us the difference between the two, just for the audience edification? Just what do you think or what is the differences between leadership and management?
Yeah. So in this context, leadership is about vision, is about inspiration, is about motivation, is about direction, is about strategy. It's about being there for people, making them feel heard and seen, and helping them. Management is about supervision, right? And being there, identifying areas of gaps in the team, and try to transform the structure so that you can put the people in the right places when it comes to strengths and weaknesses, and surround with the right people, and get them to deliver things that you want them to deliver in a specific sequence. Right? That's, I would say, managerial supervision that I want to start strengthening.
Can a person be? And since the Renaissance, people have fought the concept that a person can be great at more than one thing. Da Vinci or Michelangelo or some of these people.
Yeah.
They were the last people that could be great architects, as well as sculptors, as well as painters, as well as whatever. So the question for me is, can you be great at both? Because it seems like you got leadership nailed. I don't know, Ryan. Do you feel like he's got leadership?
Anything.
I feel like he's got it nailed.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You've got my seal of approval.
I'm going to apply for a job. I just love the passion. But anyhow, sorry to derail you, but the idea is, okay, so you've dedicated, or you've thought somewhere like, okay, now this is the year of me really kind of flexing and building the muscle memory and doing those types of things in management, as well as kind of continuing things you do in leadership.
Yeah. And I'm excited about it. Actually, I'm excited about it because, to answer some of your question, I think you can be great at anything you decide to be great at. Right. So I believe in this power of willpower. I believe in willpower. I believe in personal commitment, and I believe also in the story you tell yourself. Like, for instance, I used to tell myself until last year that I wasn't a good manager. Okay.
Right.
And I was having this self-chatter. But actually, I believe I'm better than 80% of managers out there, objectively, and I'm getting feedback. So first, I have to stop the negative chatter about this, because it's hurting me, it's hurting my team. And secondly, I want to have more intentional focus on just doing the manager job. And the more I do it, the more actually I started to like it, and I started to get better at it.
I had an executive tell me about this particular point one time that for them it comes down to span of control and touch points, and the bit was, because they had a similar bit. They wanted to kind of really be a better manager for the folks that work with them. They said, "Listen, I've got 7 reports. I talk to each of the people at least once a day. And we have dedicated time once a week. But, if it's just a touch point, over text or whatever, but I'm interacting with them. I'm always interacting with them, which helps that when we have those standardized calls, they give me feedback. It's much less about me talking to them about them. And they're going, okay, here's the challenge that I have now. Let's kind of solve this algebra, blah, blah, blah. So for you, tactically, what did you need to change?
So I'm more present into the details. That's number one.
Oh, cool.
Because I was in detail avoidance mode. Okay.
Right.
And actually, it's not that scary, I realized, actually.
Right.
And I started to be much more attuned to when I'm needed to make a decision preemptively, and be able to sense that, okay, the team wants the decision right now from me, and I'm becoming more decisive much faster. And also I'm not letting these managerial tasks to fester. I'm not procrastinating on them. I'm becoming much more okay, well, it has to be done today.
Right.
I'm not gonna let it for next week or for next month.
Sense of urgency.
Like, just between me and myself, right? I'm not letting things slip when it comes to this topic that I thought I should not be doing for some reason.
Right. Or that it was handled. I think sometimes leaders also think, well, I've hired people to do that. They've got it covered. They're not necessarily thinking about them digging into it, because it is hard, no doubt.
Yeah, and that's I think that's where I was going to go with my next point, or my curiosity was, you get to a certain level. When you get to a certain level, how do you keep yourself from falling into that rut that William just brought up of, well, I've hired these 40 people on my team to go and get this done. How do you stay present? How do you stay involved with that?
Involved in what, Ryan?
Just in making sure the job is getting done. You're not too good for the others. You've hired them. You moved on. I know a lot. I mean, I shouldn't say I know a lot. I know people who have gotten to a level, and now they expect the other people to do it, and they've forgotten their actual role in the organization that they've built. How do you prevent that?
Look, I think there's also the question of not being attached to what your role is. So, like you're like adapting to the situation, and you are driven like there are certain events you want to be driven by. Okay, there's certain things you want to control, but there's you're gonna have to accept. So let me say find an example here. Like, so I find myself today in a meeting about headcount planning. Okay, that's management, right? Headcount planning is management. I could have the thought, I could resist. I say, okay, I don't want to be part of this meeting. right?
Yeah. Send me an email.
Send me an email.
Yeah.
So
Figure it out.
why are you wasting my time? But I sense that the team wanted to be in the meeting for some reason, right? So I did not react to this, and I doubled down on my engagement level. I read the documentation ahead of time because we're primarily a synchronous company. I engaged in the content, and I was there in the meeting, making decisions when they needed me to make this decision. Because so this is what I mean, like not resisting certain things and moving in the flow of things, because you want to be out of the way as much as possible, but when the way calls you want to respond, right?
Yeah. Because you mentioned decisiveness, I'm curious as to your philosophy right now. Is data versus intuition, or maybe not versus, but maybe the combination thereof. How do you become more decisive? Are you looking at more data and trying to kind of make sense of the data and then make data-driven decisions? Or are you trusting your gut and intuition?
Look, as much as possible, you want data to back what you're doing. Actually, if you think about now, like business for me it's a story. It's telling a story that is backed by data. That's what business is. And so data is really important. And I mean, there's some common sense. You don't necessarily want to fall back to data to be able to move fast. But if you have data available, like you want to use that data, and you want to use that data in a way that is obviously with high integrity when it comes to the data structure. You want to make sure that you're accurate, but you own the story. Like at the end of the day, the impact you're going to make is not about the data; it's about the story that's delivered to people. And if it's backed by data, it's much more impactful, much more believable.
Have you ever gone against the data?
I don't know.
Don't lie.
I'm sure.
Come on now.
Yes.
Come on now. I'm just, that's such a fascinating thing, because I agree with you. Personally, if you have great data, or at least good data, and you can trust it, then to maybe even have an idea and then look at the data and see if it supports it. But on the occasion, and I'm not talking about commonsensical stuff that's easy. I'm talking about stuff that's really, really challenging. You can look at the data and go, yeah, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Still
but
also,
it's about not questioning data. Let me give you the story. Let me give you what's happening right now. What's happening right now at Oyster? What's inside the C-suite right now? You want to know what's inside the C-suite? Okay. So
what's inside the C-suite? Great question.
Last year, it was a very challenging year for the whole technology sector, Oyster included. We had to do two reorganization. Okay, one early in the year, one late in the year. In January, we did our engagement survey. It went up 2%. Okay, so now I have this data. I'm going to tell a story about it. So I'm going to go build out the story. Why? A story that's based on data, right? And I think about it, like if you really decompose what is engagement surveys are, they're a component of two things. One is the confidence in the company, and secondly is the confidence in the leadership team and the culture. Okay, just simplify it to that level.
100%.
The confidence in the company. How can it go up after last year? Like it's going to go down, right? I mean, like we set very high targets, and like everybody in technology, and then suddenly there's a macro economy. So the story is about what my team did and how they operate in a way that is about building trust, is about transparency, is about commitment, is about care to the people. It's about the mission alignment. We are a mission-driven company. We're B Corp. It's about enabling people to grow in the business. And it's about the skill that they have to be able to orchestrate two reorgs in the most human-centric way possible, and keep this engagement going. So that's a story I want to tell. And that's a story that I want to believe, and it's based on data.
Fantastic.
So now you've explained, you've defined this the entire conversation, which has been amazing, by the way. But how do you define work in 2024?
Yeah, we usually, Tony, one of the things we ask people is if somebody came down from Mars and they've heard about this thing called work, but they don't know what it is.
What is it?
how do you describe it? How do you actually talk to them?
Mm.
Because you have children, you know the bit too. Brian and I both have children. How do you explain work to them? I mean, my kids, if you were to ask them, like, what does daddy do? Yeah, he's on the phone a lot. He's on a lot of Zoom calls. It's like,
That's about it. Yeah.
that's what they think work is for me, not for everybody, but that's what they think work is. So Ryan's question is really, we're trying to figure. That's why the company's name is Work Defined. Is we're actually trying to figure out
What does work?
how do people solve this
Like,
algebra?
great question, and I think about it quite a bit. So work, let's take an example. If I'm an alien coming to this role and I see people working and say, what is this thing? And I want to explain it to this alien, and it's really about work is energy, is things you do and things you say. Let's call them energies that are that vibrates you in a certain frequency that is aligned with your true self. Okay. That's the essence of work. That's been doing work for thousands of years. It's only in the last 100 years that it got a little bit confused, right? I mean, it was commerce, with this system that keeps us. We need to put food on the table, right? Like we're living in a precarious world where many people have 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, and then suddenly you become part of that kind of, we caught into that system, and it's kind of the extreme. But you also even have in great companies that are amazing brands and Fortune 500 companies, like you have work as a tax on humans, because you make people commute to places that they don't have to. You get them to work very rigid hours they don't have to, and they're missing out on great opportunities in their life to be there for themselves, for their loved ones. They are forced to live in places they don't want to live in, and they go to work and they've been told that they suck, okay, and their performance is bad, and especially young generation. I mean, work is a traumatizing experience for humans today because it doesn't take into consideration the true needs of humans, which is to be seen, to be heard, to be fulfilled, to be mission driven, to do something that is meaningful to them. And that's what we're building at Oyster. And I think this is one of the core reasons why our engagement levels are going up, despite the fact that we did 2 reorganizations last year.
Why is that need changed? Why is there a need? Why has that changed over the years? For now, you said the younger generation, they need to be heard and understood and to have a mission. Where did that happen? When did that come about?
I think it's been happening for a long time. It was a gradual change. The pandemic also accelerated that, right? Because people realize there's more to work than just to commute to an office, and they question the real value of work. And we've seen disturbance in the talent market for that. But it's been going on for a long time, and it varies from industry to industry. It varies from country to country. I think we lost touch with why we work. I mean, we are on autopilot, and
pandemic slapped us in the face.
Yeah.
Made you think. That's
in a good way. In a good way. But the last question for me is, what do you look for? Because you're a leader that I'd love to follow. I just love to. You would be a guy or a gal that that would be just somebody I'd love to hang out with and follow and do whatever the job is. What do you look for in candidates when you look to hire? What are you looking for in those candidates?
Yeah. So I look for. So obviously I look for that experience, and it has to be what I call fit for purpose, right? So they have to believe that they are uniquely positioned to do the job. To give you an example, my CFO, Shannon, she came from an API business for cross-border shipping. So she knew all this kind of cross-border transactions. And so she knows that she's here for that reason. Okay, my chief operating officer, Mark, he was chief people officer for 20 years. So we're building an Oyster HR platform for HR people led by HR professionals. We have Miranda, she's our general counsel. She used to run compliance integration with software at TriNet, the largest PO in the US, which is taking that globally. So everyone has a raison d'être, why they're here. Okay. Secondly is about their
Every minute your finance team spends wrestling with data is a minute lost. Insight Software's AI-powered insights instantly move you from complexity to clarity. Automated analysis, real-time reporting, strategic recommendations, all at your fingertips. Transform how your finance team works and watch your business grow. Stop wasting time. Start making smarter decisions. Learn more at insightsoftware.com/AI.
I wouldn't say that behavior, because behavior can change. Behavior is a combination of who they are, but also the environment. But their ability to change. I look at are they open to change? How open they are, flexible to learn new things and be non-reactive to events. Are they practicing some sort of do I feel that they're reactive and they are like ego-driven, or they are much more they can be aligned with the mission easily, right? And let go anything that is in the way for them to be successful. I think that's another aspect. And thirdly is diversity. Diversity not only on I would say gender diversity, but also like how do they think differently, right? Do they come from different background? Do they and that's important because it brings a rich environment in terms of diversity and make decisions better. It doesn't make them faster, make them better, but makes them.
That's fantastic. Ryan, do you have anything else?
No, Tony, this has been amazing. One of our best conversations to date. I've learned
100%.
a lot myself.
Yeah, this is exactly why we created the podcast. This podcast in particular is exactly, you're the reason. And thank you for your time. I know you're super busy, and just appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you again for having me, guys. That was so fun.